Hello and welcome to Newsroom. We are coming to you live from our studios at the Platinum Place here in Accra. I am Nadima Umar Uthman. Coming up in this bulletin. Fire Service commences investigations into Sunday night fire that gutted a mechanic shop at Sofoline, destroying more than 100 vehicles. Also, minority in parliament presents verdict on the economy as President John Dramani Mahama reveals the IMF's surprise at the pace of Ghana's economic recovery. And later, Electoral Commission says it is ready for the NPP's flag bearer primaries, slated for Saturday, January 31. And in business, Institute for Energy Security urges strict enforcement of NPA's price floor and price uniformity policies to protect the country's downward petroleum markets. We have details of these and many more, including sports and entertainment. Stay with us. Many thanks for your company once again. Remember, you can watch this bulletin live on all our social media pages at GHOne TV. Now, the President, John Dramani Mahama, has expressed optimism about Ghana's economic recovery, revealing that even officials of the International Monetary Fund are surprised by the pace of progress made within a year. President John Dramani Mahama said initially he anticipated that it would take about 2 years to witness a significant economic turnaround. However, recent developments have exceeded expectations. Meanwhile, the IMF says that Ghana's cedi has emerged as Africa's best performing currency in 2025, analyzed across more than 20 major economies on the continent.
We're all surprised and shocked at the quick turnaround. Anytime I meet the IMF officials and the World Bank officials, they themselves cannot believe what has happened in Ghana. So Ghana has now become the poster boy, of the IMF and the World Bank. So when they go to other African countries, they say, don't you see Ghana? Look at what Ghana has done. And that's why I say, it is only the grace of God. It is only the grace of God. To bring inflation from 23.8% to 5.4% in 1 year. How did we manage that? For the first time to see our long-suffering Ghanaian currency, the cedi, that has been taking a beating over the years. Dollars have been arrested, they've broken jail and all that. For the first time, to see the Ghanaian cedi appreciate by 37% in 1 year, it's only God. It's by His grace. The IMF gave us a primary balance of 1.5%. And 2025, our primary balance is 2%, higher than the IMF gave. And so, God has been good to us. And as a nation, we must be grateful to Him. Because if we express gratitude to Him, He will bless us more. And I believe that with the thanksgiving we're giving to God, and this year we're going to do the National Day of Thanksgiving again like we did on the Republic Day, I'm sure by the end of 2026, the whole world will stand and be clapping for Ghana.
Well, the minority in parliament says its assessment of President John Dramani, or they've been assessing President John Dramani Mahama's first term as president, and says that Ghana's economic gains are tied to the IMF bailout and the windfall are not due to economic re-engineering. Minority Leader Alexander Afenyomarkin addressed the media a while ago, but let's cross over to Parliament where my colleague Ibrahim Alassane is currently on Zoom. Ibrahim, you are currently at the press conference. We know the minority has had a lot to say about the economy, including the gold for oil policy. What have they been saying?
Well, what the minority is doing is to mark its anniversary in Parliament, in leadership. So, yes, this is not just an assessment of the first year of the John Mahama administration, but rather the minority is updating the public through the media of the work it's done for the past year since January 7, 2025. And so it chronicles a number of activities that it's engaged in, a number of policy decisions that it made as a minority. So for instance, it talks about the Gold for Reserves program and argues that indeed the $214 million loss as captured by the IMF is something that should be sent to the doorsteps of the central bank, and reminds the central bank governor that this amounts to causing financial loss to the state. It recognizes the fact that there have been some engagement between management of Gold Board and then also the central bank, and that moving forward, a number of measures have been rolled out to ensure that the losses, even if occasioned, are minimized. But nonetheless, the day of accountability, the minority leader says, will come. Again, the minority leader talks about a number of young people who had their employment terminated when the NDC took office. The assurance the minority leader gives to said people is that it will not relent, and I'm talking about the minority, it will continue fighting until every single one of them has been given back his or her job. They also go further to talk about the anti-gay bill, and they argue that it is the majority that has become a stumbling block as far as that particular bill is concerned, and that if the majority agrees that that bill will see the light of day, it will see the light of day. So Alexander Kwame is questioning why the NDC MPs who were at the rooftops demanding under the Akufo-Addo administration for this bill to be given to Ghanaians as a law will today become a stumbling block on its way. And so, as before I hesitated, of course, Alexander Kwame was talking about even the Chief Justice, whom he described as been embarking on a thank you tour, and he's asking whether his thank you tours are because of his appointment as the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice is today in Parliament. In fact, as I engage you, there is an indoor engagement between the Chief Justice and then the Speaker of Parliament. As part of a number of activities that the Chief Justice has been engaging in relative to visiting individuals, institutions, and other organizations. Alexander Kwame says the minority does not see the Chief Justice as somebody who is tolerant. And once they deem him to be intolerant, they will not be party to any of his engagement. And so,
did they give reasons as to why they are describing the Chief Justice as intolerant, as being intolerant?
Yeah, he says he's intolerant, right? So the Chief Justice is not tolerant. And to the minority leader, when they raise some issues concerning his vetting, they got indication from him that he was intolerant to those concerns that were raised. Right. And so the minority is clear in its mind that the Chief Justice is intolerant. And as a result, the NPP MPs will not be part of any of his engagement when it comes to his thank you tours. As I mentioned, the Chief Justice is at the Speaker's chamber, and they are having an in-camera engagement about a number of activities, including how Parliament can collaborate with the judiciary to ensure the forward march of this country.
I be grateful for your time. That is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Ibrahim Alassane, who is currently at the press conference organized by the minority to mark their 1 year in Parliament and also assess the first year for President John Dramani Mahama. But the Electoral Commission says that it is fully prepared for the New Patriotic Party's presidential primary scheduled for Saturday, January 31. The Commission says that it has assured stakeholders that all logistical and administrative arrangements are on course to ensure a smooth and credible election. The New Patriotic Party has also assured that it is fully prepared for its presidential primaries, assuring party members and the public of a credible, transparent and well-secured process. A total of 211,849 delegates are expected to vote at 333 polling centers across the country's 276 constituencies. The 5 aspirants contesting the January 31 NPP presidential primaries, including Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Kodjo Osei Ejipon, Kennedy Ohene Japan, Dr. Brian Champon, and Dr. Yao Osei Educhum have expressed confidence of winning the election. Let's engage Fred Tete, who is the Deputy Director of Research at the Electoral Commission. He joins us via Zoom. Fred, many thanks for joining us. Well, he joins us via phone. We'll reconnect that line and so that he can join us on Zoom. But then, Fred, I want to know, what would the Electoral Commission consider a free, successful and transparent election, given the past controversies that have sometimes been attributed to internal elections such as this? Fred, can you unmute? Fred, I'm asking, what would the Electoral Commission consider to be a free and transparent, credible election ahead of the January 31 NPP presidential primaries, given past controversies that have sometimes surrounded internal elections such as this?
Thank you for having me. Before I start, regarding the question that you asked, I'll give you 4 elements of a successful election based on international standards. When we talk of election being successful, 1, talking about elections where violence, division is reduced to the parent. Talking about elections where the contestant candidate that is in terms of the acceptance of the result, quite positive. Talking about elections where issues of vote buying is eliminated. And then we're talking about elections. At the end of the day, we reduce rejected ballots to the minimum. So those are the major 4 criteria that we are judging elections. Knowing what we've been doing in Ghana over the years, if I could put it, the Electoral Commission, we have engaged the candidates and their national police as well, that would provide election security on election day. So in terms of logistics and arrangements, that forms the preparation. As it said, the elections will be conducted in the very secretary polling or polling centers across the region. In terms of the logistics, everything is ready. I'm talking about ballot papers, where with the party, the candidates and their regs, in terms of the printing of the ballot, the albums, to custody of the albums as well. All these materials are on their way to capital at the moment.
Fred, are you saying that you just spoke about the issue logistics? Are you saying that the materials are currently en route to all the 333 polling stations, even in the remote areas?
But you're not going to have any remote area. What I'm saying is the materials have been dispatched from the head office of the Electoral Commission to the region. So I'm talking about the regional capital.
Okay.
After the materials have been in the 16 regional offices of the Electoral Commission, then it will pass trigger consequences. So basically, we are not going to have those places. The centers are primarily the 270 constituency plus other ones.
We seem to have a connection issue, but that was Fred Tete, who is the Deputy Director of Research at the Electoral Commission. Well, still on elections, Ghana's High Commissioner to Nigeria, Mohammed Baba Jamal Ahmed, has stated that he is taking a 10-day leave to focus on the NDC parliamentary primary in Ayawaso East, rejecting calls for his resignation. Baba Jamal is one of the 6 aspirants who have picked nomination forms to contest the primary ahead of the March 3 by-election, following the death of the constituency's MP, Mahama Naza Toure. EIB Network's Benjamin Taki was at the party's regional office and has come through with this report.
The atmosphere at the party's regional office was charged as supporters turn out in their numbers to show solidarity with their preferred candidates. Some aspirants speaking to GHOne TV expressed confidence in their chances, citing grassroots support and a commitment to continue the legacy of the late lawmakers.
Every street of Nima and Ayawaso East, the message is clear. The message is very clear. It is time for young people to lead. It is time for young people in Nima, in Ayawaso East, to demonstrate to the world that they are capable.
Exactly.
It is time for young people to prioritize their own needs.
Najib Mohammed Sani believes in representation. Najib Mohammed Sani believes in helping the people, and that is what I'm committed in doing. And on the ground, the people believe in Najib and will deliver. So, as you ask me, for Najib Mohammed Sani, I care for my people, and they know what we can do and what we've been doing in our constituency.
I don't see any law that says ambassadors cannot contest. And since there's no law that will bar ambassadors from contesting, Baba Jamal is contesting, and inshallah he is winning. He is becoming the next MP of Ayawaso East.
She is more confident among the 6. She is the one who never wanted to contest for the seat. It is the people who were calling her to come and contest. And in Islam, if someone is looking for something, it tells you that that is what Islam tells us to do. We should investigate the person very well. But the one who intend not to like it, and we see the qualities in that person, we should go in for that person and make sure we give out the leadership to that person to lead.
With nominations now open and campaigns expected to intensify in the coming days, all eyes will be on how the party manages internal competition as it prepares for the March 3 by-election. Benjamin Saki, GHOne TV.
You're still watching Newsroom live on GHOne TV. Let's now head to the Ashanti region, where a devastating fire has gutted a mechanic shop at Sofoline in the Kwadaso municipality of the Ashanti region on Sunday night, destroying more than 100 vehicles and several other workshops. The incident has left many artisans and shop owners counting heavy losses, with livelihoods severely affected. Eyewitnesses said that personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service arrived minutes after the fire started, but by the time they arrived, the flames had already intensified. Firefighters battled the inferno for several hours and eventually managed to contain it, preventing it from spreading to nearby facilities. Although the exact cause of the fire has not yet been officially established, some affected artisans believe it may have been triggered by refuse burning in the area. The Ghana National Fire Service has confirmed that investigations are currently ongoing to determine the cause of the fire. Officials from the National Disaster Management Organization are also currently at the scene to assess the extent of damage. Let's head over to the phone lines. I've been joined by Ashanti Regional Correspondent Isaac Justice Bediako. Isaac, many thanks for joining us. What more can you tell us? It's been less than 12 hours since this fire gutted the mechanic shop, destroying some 100 vehicles.
Well, I must say that, as you can see from the background, currently the victims of this unfortunate fire incident are here in their numbers, actually trying to count their losses. And a while ago, the Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Francis, here to also speak to the victims and assure them of the government support. NADMO officials are also here taking records of the damage that this fire has caused in mechanics here, and so trying to take inventory of items that they have lost as a result of this particular fire. Now, one thing that had been cleared here, in the morning when we came here, we were told that 100 vehicles have been counted. But when the regional minister came and met the security agency, the briefing that they gave him is that so far about 39 vehicles have been sent beyond use. Again, but apart from that, 3 of them were not completely burned, so they were able to move them to a safer place, which means that they can work on those vehicles and reuse them. So that is the update that we have.
So it's not 100, but 39 vehicles that have been totally
burned. It's not 100, rather 36. Then 3 were also not completely actually moved that one as well. As we speak now, the regional minister came here. He has also picked reports that indeed the fire.
Isaac has joined us live now.
Hello.
Yeah, Isaac, I can hear you. You were telling so
now the regional minister is saying that.
Can you clarify for us? These vehicles were parked in the mechanic shop, and so the owners had obviously bought them there for repairs.
Yes, the owners have brought them for repairs, and most of them were home use vehicles that they are doing some kind of maintenance work on them before they will use them or they will sell them. So that is a mechanic shop specialized in actually working on home use vehicles. And so these are the vehicles that we see here that were completely burnt. But the regional minister has given them assurance that when he came here, he noticed that indeed the firefighters arrived on time. But the fire station, which is about 300 meters from the fire scene, did not have fire tender. So the assurance is that the government has so far procured about 100 fire tenders. So the procurement process is still ongoing. In the next month or so, the government will be able to actually distribute these vehicles to the Fire Service National Command. Then they will bring it to the district level. So that is an assurance that the regional minister has given them. He has also told them that NADMO is taking records and government will soon come and support them, restart life at this particular mechanic shops. Let me speak to one of the victims here. He lost one vehicle and he is a mechanic at this particular center. Opayine Memawo, I heard about GHOne News. Na wo oniama ben na share sa wo janu
pacho meka ba ko aye Nizanovan and a share and that also train 1 2 3 no and account home.
But apart from that, mona mo kan ya no pa ye be mu di kama it is a cars 100 and ashe but mo say recount no do say na mo say ehye
recount no you say cars makoma 36 cars no dey ashe drove na by 3 dey ashe na ye ebetumi asaba normal condition by 36 no dey anya dey ye bibia ebetuma ye
mo na mudi kan be do ha no pa no enro anwumre no breben na wo te say jana to ha na wo be do ha na janet sen.
In fact me be do ha no na abo 840 no me be do ye no na fide eja no wo wiemu a chese wo control nye yi na kasa no dem so me ba no me frɛ fire commander aka chance de asini ama won so ka chance wa frɛ ne kwala nso mo frɛ ka tie ba so be to se fire service ha no a no ma start ya na mo ye bai and am se cars ne hihye nti no boys na pia cars na mnasi fire tender na akwan eti na onu gina ho tie kira second car ne bai na omutumi connect hose no a etimi bai ba sa tem so na eja na aginsam wawi.
It is to say regional minister Baha anymore bekasa monya arishemu mujini se de oka no ombetumi aye e de aboa.
In fact regional minister and president mama wote akonwa so openye kase omuka asem a etimi ebam omunhyebo emu bohye so ento obeka ye no in fact anopai na misu bai mete regional minister asem ne MC asem no because asem be ombeka bia no mutumi ye ne pepepe tie ma misu na akoda chese yesi nipa we obi te onu so a na wo so ho to ka asa ne de we arehye mu se NDC omo ye wose ade yo enti wo maka ne de bia wo betuma so yasne kakra ma ya ma yeso so ho to kakra ba
na sisi e pesi yese mo ha mo no aduane wo ha mo ye nema bebre wo ha eno so ka ho magyati me ba sisi de na mo ya fa sa de ma no so ho.
In fact, mpanimfo se onoma hwegu ana ho na hyehyɛ yie sese ya asemo ya to ye no ye betra se na executives ya trans ne ho kwan a ye befa so ye behyehyɛ ye noma yie omo no aduane ye behu bebre edo mbekɔ.
That was my colleague Isaac Justice Bidiako, who is currently at the scene of the fire that started last night. We do understand that 36 vehicles have been completely ravaged by the fire, but some 3 were they were able to salvage some 3. But let's talk to DO3 Peter Adai, who is the public relations officer for the Ashanti Regional Ghana National Fire Service. Many thanks for joining us. Do we know what caused this fire? Because the eyewitnesses are alleging that this was as a result of refuse burning in the area.
Good afternoon, Adima.
Yeah.
Thank you to your team for having me this afternoon. My rank is DO2, not DO3.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So that is what our preliminary investigations is suggesting, is pointing to, that it was a result of the refuse burning. But as we speak, investigators are on the ground investigating to establish whether that is actually what caused the fire or something else caused it.
But paint a picture for us, because the eyewitness that, well, one of the victims that my colleague spoke to said that when they got to the shop, the fire, they could not even get close to the fire. Was that the same? How was it, tackling this or putting this fire under control?
The area is such that accessibility is an issue. So it was difficult getting access to the fire to be able to extinguish it. But we managed to extend our length of hoses to be able to reach all the areas that were affected by the fire to extinguish it. We also had issues with explosions. There were a few explosions going on that escalated the fire, caused it to spread quickly. But we were able to manage it.
Right. We've had a lot of, in the first year, today is what, 26th January, and in the first month of the year 2026, we've recorded a lot of fire incidents. By way of advice, what should the public be doing?
We should all know that we are in the Harmattan season, and around this time, everything is dry. So the likelihood for fire to occur is very high. Also, the likelihood for fire to become very big within the shortest possible time is also high. So whatever we are doing that can lead to fire, we should take precautions. We should ensure that we do the right things that will not lead to fire. Also, we should adhere to the education that the fire service gives to us day in, day out. We should adhere to every safety tidbit that the fire service gives to the general populace. In fact, all of us have roles to play in fire safety. Ours is to educate the masses, the public. They are also supposed to take the information and apply them wherever they find themselves. A lot of the time during this season, the Harmattan season, people tend to burn rubbish. And that rubbish, if not attended to, can lead to fire. We've had incidents where such refuse burning has led to several fires. So let's watch it.
Right.
Don't leave fires unattended to.
Finally, the issue, one of the issues that came up is the fact that although you were able, or your officers were able to respond promptly, you were still not able to douse the fire. Was there any challenge? You earlier mentioned that accessing the area was a challenge. But what was the other issue?
I think the information you are giving is wrong, because if you say we were not able to douse the fire, we were able to douse the fire.
That's what eyewitnesses are telling us.
So we're able to douse the fire. That's how come we don't have any fire now. We're able to douse it. But like I told you earlier on, the challenge had to do with accessibility, and we had a few explosions here and there. But we're able to douse the fire.
Okay. All right. Thank you for joining us here on Newsroom. That was DO2 Peter Adai, who is the Public Relations Officer for the Ashanti Regional Ghana National Fire Service. Still watching Newsroom live on GHOne TV. I am Nadima Omar Uthman. Stay with us. We have a moment when we return from this break. Back to Newsroom Live on GHOne TV with me, Nadima Omar Uthman. In some more stories, attacks on police and security task forces are escalating, with armed mobs and gunmen openly targeting officers on duty. Recent incidents in the Ashanti and Bono regions have left officers and civilians injured, some of whom have been reported dead and weapons seized. Routine law enforcement operations are now meeting organized and violent resistance. There's more in this News Desk report.
On 23 January 2026, a police patrol team was ambushed at Bepotenten Sukum in the Ashanti region. Officers were assaulted by a mob of about 100 people armed with firearms and cutlasses after seizing a pump-action gun from a miner. a police rifle was forcibly taken. Police fired warning shots to retrieve the weapon, leaving one attacker dead and 3 injured. The rifle was later recovered. Just days earlier, on 20th January 2026, armed men hiding in bushes opened fire on a NIMOS task force during an anti-galamsey operation along the Subin Krom Tremanso stretch in Doma Central, Bono region. One officer was shot in the thigh and hospitalized. One assailant was killed in the exchange. On 19th January 2026, police launched investigations into the fatal shooting by a policewoman near Tetegu in Weija, Greater Accra, under circumstances still being probed. Earlier on 8th January 2026, suspects were arraigned for assaulting police officers on duty in Obuase during an attack at the Triapiase Senior High School Park. These incidents follow a pattern seen throughout 2025. On 1st November 2025, a NIMOS team in Broni Krom, Ahafo region, was overwhelmed by a mob of about 600 people after arresting illegal miners and seizing weapons. The suspects were forcibly freed and official vehicles vandalized. The incident was later linked to alleged political interference, now before the courts. That same month in the Western region, illegal miners resisted a NIMOS operation at Huawa Kofrum after an intelligence leak alerted them ahead of time. Officers faced organized resistance and sustained injuries during clashes. And on August 18, 2025, NIMOS intercepted unauthorized armed military personnel conducting raids in the eastern region, seizing their weapons and handing them over for disciplinary action. Together, the incidents point to an alarming trend, increasing coordinated and brazen attacks on police and armed task forces enforcing the law.
Very worrying development there, but let's speak to Dr. Adam Bona, who is the Executive Secretary for Small Arms Commission. He joins us via Zoom. Dr. Bona, has your commission picked up intelligence on how these armed mobs are acquiring these weapons?
Well, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers. Well, yes, the intelligence has always been there, and this incident you are seeing didn't just start in 2025. They go way back before 2025, and I can authoritatively tell you this goes way back because those of you in the media know I have been a media, I've worked within the space security media for a very long time. The only thing that we didn't see is a coordinated effort at dealing with illicit arms in this country. And so you can see, within the space of a year or so, we have put in measures, enough to be able to mop up illicit weapons in the hands of these young bandits who seems to think that once you have a weapon, that becomes a tool to foment trouble. And I'm happy you highlighted gun-related violence in the country, but I can tell you that as the head of the Small Arms Commission, together with my minister, the Honorable Mutaka Mubarak, and the security agencies, i.e. the Ghana Police Service, and the other allied security agencies, we are working at ensuring that this canker is something that we will reduce, if not eliminated at all, completely from our the ecosystem in this country.
Dr. Bona, you just mentioned the collaboration between your commission and the police, but should you not be doubling up these efforts considering the fact that these cases are increasing?
We are doubling up, but you see, the truth is that something that has persisted for well over 8 years, it is difficult for you to start within a day and deal with it. And you can see the gun amnesty that was declared. It's an effort as ensuring that those who own firearms and sees the need to tender them in, they do that. But if they don't, we will come after them. It's something that it's ongoing. We've had the gun amnesty phase 1, the phase 2, which has been extended to the end of this month. We are having people bringing their weapons. And so I would say so far so good. But like you said, yes, the collaboration is still on. And we picked a lot of intelligence with regards to those who have weapons and the like. The national security is on board with us. All the allied security agencies, the customs, the immigration, all of them, because remember, these weapons are not coming from one location. From the trend analysis we have done, we have a lot of unapproved borders. We have others who have hidden them in various containers and the rest and brought them into the country. But unfortunately, what we couldn't do was to fight it, year in, year out. And that is what the current government, is doing together with all allied security agents. And the small arms is here to ensure that we put in measures together with the interior, supervising ministry, interior, national security, the police, and the rest to combat this. And so just give us a bit of time. But I can tell you that since the amnesty was declared, we have had well over 3,000 weapons have been brought in. These were weapons that were in the hands of people. We have had well over 3,000 weapons that voluntarily Ghanaians held these weapons and would have used them, maybe some of them would have used them to foment trouble. But they brought them in voluntarily, without any coercion, without any arrest. They brought them in, and we are expecting those who have them to bring them in before the 30th of this month, or else we would arrest them.
Right. I'm grateful for your time as always. That was Dr. Adam Bona, who is the Executive Secretary for Small Arms Commission. But let's stay a while longer on this conversation. I've been joined via phone by Samuel Appiah, who is a security analyst. Samuel, many thanks for joining us. How worrying is this development, considering that day in, day out, more... Right.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon. I think it's quite unfortunate we keep witnessing the attack on security personnel from the civilian population. And it's as a result of impunity and disregard for law and then also for security institutions. And it must be condemned in no uncertain terms. For anybody to assume that a police officer is armed, and so whether there's no ammunition or they cannot use it in self-defense and preservation of their lives and all of that. I think these are the things we need to discourage the citizenry from, because there's this perception that police people hold weapons and they are not supposed to use it to defend themselves and all of that. So I think we need to let the people understand that as far as you see a security officer, be it police or be it a military man, exercising a lawful duty and operation, you do not have any right whatsoever to confront them or to make any kind of an attempt to attack them in any measure or form, because if they want to respond, they will be fatal, as we've seen or witnessed. So,
Samuel, is the law not deterrent enough?
Well, the laws are there, but, we can also, allow impunity and disregard for laws and, respect for institutions. How long are we going to say the law must be deterrent enough, therefore people should continue to attack, security institutions as a nation? We need to instill discipline in people. And so, for me, I would not, encourage the fact that there are laws. So people should be emboldened and should be encouraged to attack police, military men, and other officials on, national attack or duty.
Right.
These are the things that if we keep it, we will build some kind of culture, and we cannot control when it starts village and it's getting out of hand.
Right.
So definitely we have laws, but we cannot also allow people to attack the security officials.
Grateful for your time. That was Samuel Appiah, who is a security analyst, and wade into the conversation regarding the increasing rate at which armed mobs are attacking security officers. Let's now do business.
Officer Wash.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Institute for Energy Security, that is the IES, is urging for a strict enforcement of National Petroleum Authority's price floor and price uniformity policies to protect the country's downstream petroleum market. According to the Institute, it has taken note of the recent January 2026 industry article released by the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, headlined Price Floor in Perspective, a call for structural market cleanup, as well as prevailing market observations on ex-pump petroleum pricing behavior within the downstream petroleum sector. It noted that the revelations contained in the COMAC article, when examined alongside independent market monitoring by IES, point to deepening structural, compliance and pricing integrity challenges that, if left unaddressed, threaten the long-term sustainability of the downstream petroleum markets and the protection of consumers. We've been joined via phone for a conversation on this by Derek Hatche, who is the senior research and policy analyst at IES. Many thanks for joining us, Derek. Now, the IES has called for strict enforcement of the NPA's price floor policy, citing instances of petrol being sold below the price, the floor price, I beg your pardon. How can the NPA effectively monitor and enforce this policy, especially given the complexity of Ghana's downstream petroleum markets?
All right, thanks for the opportunity and good afternoon once again. So basically, the release, as you stated, is to ensure that there is that kind of uniformity of prices across board, as well as the enforcement of the price floor. Now, if you look at the things that account for the price build-up, you realize that there isn't any room for anybody to even sell below the price floor. On the current window, the price floor is 9.80 per square. And so for anybody to even sell below that 9.80 per square, realistically, means that the person is not making any margin, any profit at all, let alone be able to ensure full cost recovery. If you look at the cost computation, you realize that price that the NPA arrived at averagely for petrol is around 10.02 pesos. And so for the NPA to set a minimum price of 9.80 pesos, it means that an oil marketing company realistically wouldn't be making any profit. So for somebody to be selling below that particular price floor, then there is a need for you to investigate how come the person is able to sell at that particular minimum price, below the price floor. That is the first thing. The second point of it is that the NPA as a regulator, if you look at the price build-up, one thing that you find as a line item is the UPPF. The UPPF is to ensure that there is that kind of uniformity of prices across board. And so whether you are buying petroleum products in Accra, that is the city, or you are buying far away from the city, whether it is in the let me say Wa or Water region, like a place that is far away from the city, the prices are uniform. And so for every liter of fuel, there is an amount of money, or about 90 pesos, that contributes to this uniformity of prices. That is why it's called the Unified Petroleum Price Fund, that is the UPPF. This is to ensure that prices at all fuel stations are at the same level. But what we've realized nowadays is that there is that kind of discounted prices being implemented by the various oil marketing companies. And so if you take Accra, for example, they will tell you that the standard price is like, say, 10 Ghana cedi per liter. But if you go to the various other places, you see a discounted price at almost, 9 cedi, 97 pesos. Let me give you a typical example. GHOne and Star Oil. If you look at their regular price for petrol, that is for GHOne, it is 10 cedi 99 pesos. But they have a discounted price of 9 cedi 99 pesos. If you go to Star Oil, their regular price is 10 cedi 56 pesos. But the discounted price is 9 cedi 97 pesos. And so these discounted prices happen at various urban sectors. And so they increase their volumes at those places. Now, if that is what they are doing, then it goes against the UPPF which is supposed to ensure the uniformity of prices. So there's somebody who is probably at State Tamale or at WA is not enjoying this discounted price. And so it is like more or less favoring those in the urban centers.
But Derek, I mean, I would want us to just briefly break this down. I think the consumer wants to understand, because we are aware of the conversation between the two OMCs, where Star Oil is saying that if not for the price floor policy, they could have sold for a lesser price. I think the consumer just wants to know that, can I buy fuel for less than 10 cedis?
All right. Truly, frankly, and then realistically, nobody will be able to sell below that particular price floor that the MPA has even, outlined for everybody to comply with. If you look at the cost computation, the 9 cedi, 80 pesos that the MPA has arrived, anybody who even sells at that price, realistically, is not making any profit. And so that is the reason why you realize that even the GHOne or the Star Oil, especially Star Oil, calling for the abolishment of the price floor, is not able to sell at the minimum price level that is being instituted by the MPA. It is at 9 cedi 80 pesos. Star Oil today, at their discounted price, is even selling at 9 cedi 97 pesos. Right. And so it means that they are not even selling at that minimum price. But this minimum, this discounted price is causing a distortion in the market, for which the UPPF that has been implemented to stabilize the market is not able to achieve its purpose. And so what we are saying is that let the MPA as a regulator ensure that there is that adherence to the price floor, because today Alinco Oil is selling petroleum products at 9 cedi 78 pesos, which is far below the price floor of 9 cedi 80 pesos. If you look at the regular price, Olimax is also selling at 9 cedi 80 pesos. It means that they are complying with the cash with the price floor. Right. But if you look at Alinco, they are not complying with it. And that means that the regulator needs to up their game and ensure that the uniformity is being adhered to, and then the price floor is equally being adhered to.
Derek, I think the point has been well made. I'm sure we'll come to you again in our subsequent bulletin. But that was Derek Hatcher, who is a senior research and policy analyst at IES. That ends it for business.
The Business Brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
There are some interesting results for us for Kodjo and other big boys in a GP. Let's take a look at the results of games played over the weekend on March 20. Now, Kodjo were the first at home. They beat Holy Stars by some 3-0. Good weekend for the fabulous team. All Blacks lost to Donor Stars also by 2-0. Mediama, who are currently on top. FC and Samatex also won at home 2-0 against Nations FC. Brekum Chelsea were winners 2-0 at home against Bibiani Gold Stars, and Dreams FC were held to a draw by Younger. Now, table for the Ghana Premier League after the 20 round of games done in the GPO. There it is on your screens now. Mediama currently are on top, who are on the same points though with Adriana Stars and Hearts of Folk. So from second to fourth, all on the same number of points, 35 points. Samatas has fifth now on 34 points. We go to the bottom ranks now. Bottom three, Holy Stars on 23, Hohoi are on 20, and 11 Wonders on some 9 points on the table, bottom placed on the Ghana Premier League table. To the biggest story from the weekend, where Michael Carrick won and celebrated like a kid as Matheus Cunha signing late strike sealed the Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium. The Ghanaians started the game strong to the lead in the first half through an own goal by Lisandro Martinez. Can you see a Julian Timber persistence in the attack? Arsenal were dominant in the first half, but United came strongly into the game as they scored 2 goals to lead 2-1. They were pulled by Arsenal through Merino, and then the late goal from Cunha, enough to ensure Man U will end the game as the winners on a 3-2 scoreline at the Emirates. Now, let's take a listen to the coach for United, Michael Carrick speaking after the game came to an end.
Yeah, massively proud. I think it was different to last week. Two very different games as it had to be before the game. You know, it was going to be different today, and they put us under a lot of pressure in different ways, and we never probably had as
working some wonders at Old Trafford. That's it for us in Sports. Back to you, Nadim. Sorry for the rest of the bulletin.
Thank you, Benjamin Yamwa. That's how we wrap up this edition of Newsroom. I am Nadima Omar Uthman. Good afternoon.